In the harbor, there are guys who come in and they clean the bottoms of the boat. Not a glamorous job, but it's something they can do when they get off work. They make money at it. They make, $50 to $100 per boat each month as they work at it. And last night I was casting a line in the harbor next to the boat, and one of the guys was climbing out of the water. He's a guy in his 20s, and I've seen him numerous times. He came up and wanted to talk to me about the fishing, and I told him, catching a fish for me in the harbor is purely an interruption. I don't catch fish too often in the harbor. And so I asked him how many hours a day he's in the water scraping the bottom of boats. He said he'd put in 6 hours that day under the water in the ocean. I said, well, how many days a week do you do 6 hours? And he said, 5 to 6 days a week. I'm doing 6 hours underwater. So that means he's doing 35 to 40 hours a week underwater in a wetsuit, breathing through a tube, scraping the bottom of a boat, just getting the junk off of it so that the people can sail or motor and keep everything clean. I looked at him and I said, well, what do you do for fun when you're out of the water? And I kind of knew the answer. He said, I surf. He said, I surf. So this guy he's in his 20s. He's scraping the bottom of boats all day long. And then when he gets his day off, I said, where are you surfing tomorrow? He said, I think I'm back going to Lowers. He said, Boneyards has looked bad. And I told him, this is Boneyards behind me here. He said, I'd seen Boneyards Friday. It looked like just a nice family kind of outing. I said, I have a tough time going when it's like that because so many little kids. I said, I'm afraid I'm going to run over one of those little kids. It's just a perfect learning wave. And he reached out and he introduced me, and he told me his name, and then he told me his father's name, and then he told me his grandfather's name, and all basically local legends in the surfing community here. And said he grew up surfing trestles and then cottons. He's a goofy foot. Wanted to know if I'd ever surfed cotton, so I told him about my years of surfing cottons. Asked me where I surfed now, and I said, yeah, not so much. Told him it had been a while since I'd been in the water. And then he did an interesting thing. He said, well, there's still plenty of time to get back in the water. He said, in fact, if you can't make it in the daytime, he said, I surf Creek, that's Salt Creek, just north here on a regular basis. And he said, but I also surf the Cove, and next week's a full moon. And I'm going to be surfing on the full moon next week. And if you've got to work in the daytime, he said, come on out with me and surf the full moon. He extended his hand and he said, you're welcome to come with me. And I thought about what an exceptional thing that is in the surf community. People would like to say that the surf community is friendly and outgoing and embracing. Not so much. Not at all. In fact, one of the things we talk about, neither one of us feel comfortable or good enough to even get in the water at Lowers anymore. So many famous surfers and so many incredible surfers are surfing Lowers now, and he's a young, dynamic surfer. This guy who spends all day long in the water says he doesn't feel good at Lowers. He said he still feels good enough to go out at Cottons. He says, but he mostly surfs Salt Creek. And I said, yeah, I think I'd feel good enough to go out at Cottons. And then he said his grandpa's name again, actually, and I remembered surfing with his grandpa. Used to be one of the guys I would surf with, and thought about how time just slips on by. His family covers literally 60 years of surfing in Southern California or more, and probably more than that, actually. And right here in this area that we're looking at. And I know if I had half a brain, when I was in my 20s, I would have said, man, I'm going to jump on that. I'll be surfing the Cove with you next week in the full moon. But I said, oh man, thanks for the invite, but I doubt if I could swing it. And he looked at me and said, you know what? You're never too old to get back in the water again, man. It's going to come back faster than you can imagine. And I thought about the things that we start to let go of as we get older. We embrace Medicare. We have to go through it. We embrace all the aspects of senior citizenship that we fought for so long. But too often in embracing these new things, we start to let go of some of the things that have been such a valuable aspect of our lives. We transition into sailing a bigger boat. We transition into running. We transition into all these other things. And we let go of some of the stuff that was important. And it would be easy for me to say, yeah, this kid in his 20s has no clue what my schedule is, has no clue what it's like for me to try to get out there under a full moon and surf a wave that I'm not familiar with. but he's going to be underneath the water all day long, scraping the bottom of boats. And then he's going to go out in the full moon, maybe with his father and his grandfather, and surf the full moon. He said, check your calendar, check which dates it is. We're going out. I want you to know that you'd be welcome to come with us. How long's it been since you invited to do something with you and your family? How long's it been since you looked at the calendar and the clock of what's happening this summer and said, you know, I'd like you to come with me. I won't go with him next week. I'd like to think maybe I would. Just because it would be cool to see them all. It would be cool to be out there in a full moon. It would be cool to have that story as part of my life. And I'm taking some time off next week. Who knows? Maybe I will. But here's the best part of it for me. He invited me. How long's it been since you've invited someone? It means something to the people that you invite. It tells them, I would like to spend that time with you. It tells them that you are welcome with me and mine. It tells them that you're A-OK in my book. Don't be afraid to invite someone into your life today. Don't be afraid to extend your hand and say, you know what? Next week's a full moon. What a marvelous night for a moon dance. Get together, pick a cove, find a spot, invite someone to be with you. There's a full moon next week. Why not go out and dance on the beach? God bless you. Have a fantastic week. You see, until you invite someone, it's incredibly hard to be the miracle all by yourself. Invite someone to share your life. God bless you. Be the miracle. Have a great day.